It's Friday, July 27th of 2018. And this is Guy's Daily Drive. Is there anything better than the end of the work week? I mean, yeah, you still got the whole work day to get through, but there's that light at the end of the tunnel. On the inverse side, even though it's a day off, you wake up, if you have a Monday through Friday job, Sunday morning, going, oh, it's the last day of the weekend, I have to go to work tomorrow. So it's, I don't know. It's weird that you can celebrate the end of the work week while still having to go through a day of work and then be sad about the end of the weekend while you still have a complete day, having a complete day off. Oh, these are the things that go through my head as I do this stuff. So odd. Well, speaking of stuff I do that's odd, I'm back, obviously, from MacStock. I started my drive back Monday. I still, at this point, I'm all behind again. I have 2 episodes on Monday to edit, and I have 2 episodes on Tuesday to edit of Guy's Daily Drive. And not only edit, but then convert over into audio and put those on the audio feed for Guy's Daily Drive. So, I thought I was all caught up just before I left for MacStock, but it's been, like the last couple of days have been mostly kind of catch up. I had 130 emails at work to deal with when I came in on Wednesday. And then I had just a ton of regular work that hadn't gotten done. No fault of the people that were there. As it turned out, a number of issues happened that prevented the person who's my backup for what I do from doing the things that needed to be done. Chief amongst them was a big update to not just the operating systems that we use at work, but the programs that is used within those operating systems. So that led to a day or two of, WTF, what are we doing? Why isn't this working? It's so different from what we had before. So, and plus there were some other people out, which meant it wasn't just my duties that this person was doing. It was like several people. And, sometimes these things happen. You end up in a perfect storm of non-productivity that isn't your fault. You can't do everything at the same time. This is just the nature of the beast. So when I came back in Wednesday morning, not only did I have 130 emails to process, not only did I have some financial stuff related to the job that I do that I had to deal with, I also had a ton of work that I do that isn't specifically related to what I was hired to do. I know that sounds kind of weird, but in these days of specialization where someone trains and gets hired to do one thing, to have people that are multi-talented, that are capable of doing more than one thing at a time or one job at a time, is a skill set that that is kind of lost. You don't really see it a lot. I do it, and some of the other people in my office do it. Some other people in my office can't. They've been doing one thing for a very, very long time, and that's what they do. So, okay, and there's nothing wrong with that either. It's just some people have the ability to, it's not really multitasking. It's just being able to concentrate on two completely different jobs, and not at the same time. I've talked about this before, and again, these are generalizations. Women typically are better at multitasking, according to most of the research that I've seen, where they're able to concentrate on multiple tasks all at the same time. Men have a tendency to be more focused on singular tasks, but at the same time can't concentrate on multiple tasks. And that's kind of where I lie. When I'm focused on something, it's got my complete attention, and that's what I'm doing right then. And if you try to throw something else at me, it's not going to work that well, because that's not what I'm thinking about. So when you have a job and that job, because of reasons, has multiple aspects and multiple responsibilities that don't necessarily coincide with each other, which is kind of the position that I'm in. Okay, well then what I do is I focus all my concentration on one task, and that task is whatever it is that I've started. And when I'm done with that task, then I turn around and I do something else. Then I do that other thing. But I can't do them both at the same time. I just can't. So, I had no idea this is the direction that this show was going to go in when I started. Big shock. So, Mac stock. That's actually what I was going to kind of talk about. Got back Tuesday. The drive home wasn't nearly as productive as the drive out there. Now, the drive out there, I went from south of D.C. I left at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I got all the way to Lafayette, Indiana. And I still haven't Googled to see how far that is. I really should. Sorry, pardon me. But it's probably between, 600 and 700 miles. I got really far that first day. But coming back, number one, I had to leave later because I had told Dr. McLevitis that I would drop him off at O'Hare Airport on my way out. We left early. It was because he had a 10:30 flight, and of course these days you have to be at the airport 2 hours ahead of time just to be sure. And we weren't really sure of how long it was going to take to get from the hotel that we were in Woodstock, Illinois, for the most part, to O'Hare Airport on a Monday morning, driving through Chicago traffic. And honestly, as it turned out, it wasn't that bad. It took maybe 20 minutes longer, 30 minutes longer to get to O'Hare Airport than it did like the couple of other times. So, not that bad. Now, if we had left, say, a half hour earlier, later, would the traffic have had been, or would the traffic had been, can't talk, would it have been as bad or better than when we left at 6? Chances are it would have been worse, in my opinion. But dropped off Bob. It was like about 7:30, so it took us about an hour and a half to get there. And then after I dropped him off, I turned around and got on the road. Well, the traffic leaving Chicago, or just getting out of the Chicago area, took much longer than I had really anticipated. So I ended up losing a lot of time that first day just getting out of Chicago. And and I was tired because you're at a big event. There are things going on early in the morning through late at night, so you don't get as much sleep as you normally would. So I was kind of running on fumes at that point. And by the time I got into Ohio from Indiana, I was really feeling it. I mean, I was feeling pretty tired, so I was making a few more stops than I normally would have, just to kind of, wake myself up, use the bathroom because I was drinking. One of the things that you can do to help yourself stay awake, or to keep yourself alert while driving, is to snack. Snack on little foods, drink lots of water. I don't recommend drinking soda, just because it's not good for you, and the sugar in sodas will have a tendency to, give you a quick burst and then make you very logy afterwards. So I was drinking lots of water, which meant, of course, I had to stop every so often to pee, which in turn meant that I could just keep going. But by the time I got to Columbus, Ohio, and it was probably 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock by this point in the afternoon, early evening, I was really tired. And my original plan was to keep going until I emptied out the gas tank. And I still had, when I finally stopped, I still had probably 2 to 3 hours of gas in the tank. And it was like, there is no way that I'm going to be able to go another 2 to 3 hours without really, really pushing it. And there wasn't any point. There was so little left, not so much so little left to do, but I still had a full day that I could drive, and there wasn't any point in pushing myself to the point of actual potentially being dangerous driving. So I didn't. I just stopped for the night, got into the hotel, and I remember, getting up into the room, putting my stuff down, and then lying on the bed, turning on the TV, lying on the bed and thinking, I should go get something to eat before I fall asleep, and then falling asleep. When I woke up, it was probably 11:30 or so. And sure, Columbus is a big town, and there was lots of places I still could have gone to get something to eat. But I wasn't really hungry. I'd been snacking all day and, drinking lots of water. So it's like, I'm just going to stay in bed. And I slept until, had to be like 7:30. So I got like 12 hours, 13 hours of sleep. Must have really needed it. Got up, ate breakfast, got on the road again, and got home by about 3 o'clock that afternoon. So by most measures, considering that I wasn't going to get all the way home on the first day, it was a good drive, successful drive, safe drive, which is more important than anything else. And the car, the Kia Soul that I'm in right now, performed admirably. It got great gas mileage. I was getting, on a 13-gallon tank, it was showing my range to be like over 400 miles. So I'm getting 32, 33 miles to the gallon in this little car as compared to the 20 to 25 I was getting in the Flex. So, yay, using less gas. And I'm really looking forward to next year. Now, how I will make that trip next year. It's, I don't know. I might fly. I'm certainly probably going to take a lot less gear. I spent a good part of day one just getting everything out, getting everything connected, and making sure it was all going to work. And I noticed that my EV mic, my Electro Voice mic, didn't sound as good as the Sennheiser mics, and I thought it was a superior mic, or maybe I was doing something wrong. But if you listen to the MyMac Podcast 716, Tim sounds great on those Sennheiser mics, and I think I don't really sound that good. So I don't know. Maybe I'll figure out something else. But I'll probably take less stuff next year, and we'll see how that goes. But it's not for another year. It's an entire year from this date before I would be leaving. Well, maybe not, because it's the 28th and 29th, or the 27th, and I don't know. It's like the last weekend of July of 2019. So I've got a little bit of time to think about it. If you would like to get a hold of me, all you have to do is send me an email to guy@mymac.com, probably. Or you can contact me via the Twitters. My Twitter name there is MacParrot. You can find me usually on Wednesday nights, though I didn't do one this Wednesday. Mac to the Future live cast that I typically do with Warren and probably a few other people in the future. You can also find me on the MyMac.com podcast with Mr. Gazmaz. And he and I will be doing our first post MacStock 2018 podcast probably tomorrow. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I will see you next time here on Guy's Daily Drive.